Hey guys, welcome to a new video. Today I'll be talking about how I use my iPad Pro in college and what kind of apps I use. Let's get right into it. So first off, I have the iPad 11-inch iPad Pro 2018 in space gray. I have this along with the Smart Folio keyboard as well as the Apple Pencil 2 second generation. I specifically picked this keyboard because I like the way Apple designed the Smart Folio keyboard. You don't have to worry about charging it, you don't have to worry about Bluetooth. All you have to do is take it off and then you can use it as is. And then if you need it back on, you just put it on, close it, turns off, open it, turns on, yada yada yada. And then you have this, and this is where the magic happens. This is what allows you to write on the iPad with precision. It makes it feel like you're writing on paper. It looks like a pencil, feels like a pencil. And another cool thing is it magnetically connects on the side, and this also charges it, so you don't have to worry about anything. I mainly use my iPad for note-taking, especially with only two methods right now, which are pen and paper and a laptop. That, for me personally, both of these do have their pros and cons. However, they do have their flaws, and their flaws do affect the way I study, such as pen and paper. It does help me retain information a lot easier when I'm being taught, especially in a lecture. However, something that I'm personally affected by is that I'm a really slow writer, because I want to make sure my notes look good, and when they look sloppy it kind of bothers me, so I kind of sacrifice that there. But ultimately, pen and paper is something that's really good, except doesn't work for me because I write really slow. And another thing I notice about pen and paper is that I rarely use my notes when I study because I don't want to go through the hassle of flipping the pages one by one just to get to one small section that I don't know or don't understand. And that really slows down my study time especially when I'm cramming for a test 2 minutes before. And that's never a good thing, but don't do that. So ultimately I switched over to a laptop, and what I found out is that I can type a lot faster, which I already knew that, but I can type a lot faster than I write, so I would get all the information down. I wouldn't have to worry about anything. And another thing about that is it's really good because I have cloud services such as Google Drive. I can use Google Docs and it automatically saves. I can use iCloud. And what that means is that if I use my phone or a different computer, I can still access my documents. So if I were to forget my laptop, I would still have some form of accessing it. And that's pretty good for me because I'm pretty forgetful sometimes, but I rarely forget, but it's just there just in case. But one of the bad sides of the laptop is that what I find myself doing often is I kind of go on an autopilot mode where I don't really pay attention to what is being presented, and I kind of just copy down blatantly without really understanding the material, and that doesn't really help me, especially when I'm trying to go study. I don't really understand what's going on. Even though I read my notes, it doesn't make any sense to me. And another thing about the notes is that they can look pretty crazy sometimes, especially with a lot of notes throughout the semester. It just looks crazy, and even though I try to organize it as best as possible, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work for me. And yeah, so what the iPad does is that it gives you the capability of writing on a screen, yet gives you the cloud accessibility. And that's really good for me because, just like I said, I'm kind of forgetful sometimes, but if I were to write on my iPad, I can have it connected, I can have it sent to my phone, I can have it sent to my laptop, I can have it sent to a different computer, so I can still access it some other form or some other way at least. And that's really convenient for me, especially if I'm walking to class. I don't want to whip out a big laptop or a big iPad, and I can just read it off on my phone and it just be my written notes. And another thing about having this iPad is the app notability. And the app notability is really useful because not only can it read what I'm writing, but if I were to search something such as math, it would highlight every word that I wrote down, and it would highlight the word math. I could go through all of this. So if I were to study and I didn't know what math meant, I could type in math, go to it, instantly find it, don't have to worry about it. Unlike pen and paper where you have to flip the pages and look one by one, and that would cause a lot of time. Now you can do it in an instant, and then you can go back to studying and do whatever you want to do, and that's really convenient, especially with this app. Another thing about the Notability app is that I really enjoy the way that the app is designed, especially in terms of organizing your documents, as well as how the app feels when I'm writing. So if I were to reach the end of a page, I can continue scrolling down as if it were a really long piece of paper rather than flipping the pages one by one, which is kind of a hassle sometimes, especially if the professor is about to flip the slide, you gotta write it real quick, and you can just scroll down and then it's super continuous. You don't have to worry about flipping the page, don't worry about any of that stuff. Another thing I feel like the reason why I write faster on this iPad is because when I write and make a mistake, usually you have to erase or you cross it out with the pen, but I never crossed it out with the pen because that's kind of gross, if I'm being 100% honest. But if I were to mess up, I can simply get the pencil, double tap, switch over to the eraser, cross it out, instantly delete that word or error that I made, and then I can double tap it again, it goes back to the pencil or pen, and I can continue writing. And that is probably one of the things that I think that makes me write faster. And maybe, I don't know why, but I just write faster. I guess it's less friction from the paper because I'm writing on a screen, and it's really convenient for me. There's so many more options that are out there, such as GoodNotes and OneNotes, but I personally picked Notability because it's one of my favorite apps. So other apps that I like are the built-in notes for the iPad. I mean, it's on the phone as well and on the MacBook, but I like the stock Apple Notes because what I use this for is mostly for scratch work, and my main purpose for using this really is most of my professors send my practice test online, and in order to do them rather than printing it out and doing it on the paper, I can just do my scratch work on this note app, and then I can also write my answers on here, and then once I'm done, I can check my answers, blah blah blah, then delete it right after, and it gives me like a different mindset for having an app dedicated for notes and an app dedicated for just scratch work or just trash paper that I can throw away technically, but on the iPad. So that's really convenient. This is also synced up to my iCloud, which is so I can get it on my phone and get it on my MacBook if I needed anything important on there. But one of the main things that I find really, really useful sometimes is one time my friend, he needed help with calculus homework, so I did my work on the notes, and since he also has an iPad and iCloud as well, I shared my notes with him, and he could get it on his iPad or his phone. He could see my work, he could edit it if he wanted it to, and he could ask questions if he needed it. And I made sure to make it look simple and clear to read because obviously I want him to understand it. And ultimately it does help a lot, and if you do need to help your friends or whatever, you also have this option there with the notes built in for the iPad. And another app I like is My Study Life, and this app is really useful because it's like a planner, and typically I've never used a planner in my life. I've never touched a planner. I didn't think it was useful, but ever since the switch from face-to-face to online because of the whole pandemic, I before I used the planner, I missed a few deadlines, and I was like, okay, I need a planner, I need to make sure I have all of this organized, and this has really helped me. And the reason why I like My Study Life is because I can access the same account on my computer, so if I needed it, I wouldn't have a dedicated app just only for my iPad and iOS, but it would also be online in a browser, which is mystudylife.com. And so the only downside about the My Study Life on the iPad is that it was mostly designed for iOS and the website. So the thing is, it wasn't dedicated for iPad, so I have to make it larger, and it looks like a really large iPhone, so it just doesn't look good. It doesn't look professional, and I kind of just hate the way it looks. So what I typically do is I would go to Safari, I will go to mystudylifer.com, and I can access all of my stuff from there, and then everything that I do on that browser, it also updates on the iOS app as well, so it's all synced up like that too. And that's why I really like this app. But yeah, that's everything I mostly use my iPad for in college. And if you have any questions, ask questions on the bottom of the comment. And if you like the video, hit that like button. If you enjoyed the channel, hit the sub button. Thanks again. I'll see you guys later.